Reflecting back on COP26, what was noticeable was some of the shifts in the climate conversation. We saw the private sector, particularly financial services firms, leading from the front and playing a central role alongside governments and non-profits. Clean energy innovation was higher on in the agenda than seen before. The reality is that the transition to net zero by 2050 will require huge additional investment for the next 30 years. And a lot of this will need to happen with urgency in this decade. The IEA, the International Energy Agency, estimates that the annual clean energy investment worldwide will need to more than triple by 2030 to around $4 trillion per year. Now, a bulk of this will need to come from private finance, as public finance simply won't be able to take this whole burden. And this means a huge opportunity for financial services. So how do financial services firms position themselves to make the most of the net zero opportunity? Firstly, work collaboratively with customers across sectors to help them transition, including the hard-to-abate sectors. While we see large listed companies making significant progress in the last couple of years in terms of their disclosures and commitments, private companies have some way to go still and will require the right financing support and advice. Secondly, determine pathways that are 1.5-degree aligned at the individual sector level and not just at the overall portfolio level. And recognize that these pathways won't simply leap from brown to green. The transition will involve moving from different shades of brown to shades of green. What is clear is that transition technologies will be a critical part of the decarbonization toolkit for most sectors. Some estimates suggest that 25 to 30% of abatement will need to come from climate technologies that are not yet mature, and a good 10 to 15% from those that are still in research and development stage. So there will need to be rapid investments in green technologies, as well as upskilling of front office teams to understand the sector-level opportunities as well as the associated risks. You simply can't be financing hydrogen projects indiscriminately. You will need to treat gray, blue, green, and biohydrogen very differently. And the final point that I would like to emphasize is that financial services firms will need to act with speed and not get too bogged down by the uncertainty in policy or technology feasibility. Yes, they will need to be thoughtful, analytical, and get the sequencing of their target setting right, based on materiality of the individual sector's financed emissions, in terms of guidance that's available from net zero alliances and standards on pathways and methodologies. Given the rapid pace with which climate science is evolving, I would say it would be important for firms to review their target setting assumptions and revise their targets periodically using the latest insights. We are working with a number of financial institutions on their transition strategies and will be sharing sector-specific insights from our experts as part of this series. So please look out for these.